Welcome back, my happy chap. So today we're going to talk about law. It's something that we all deal with every day, and we're stuck in a time of a legal system that carries out contract law as a leading law overall. And that leaves us in a position where the people are treated as less important as companies and corporations are. And so what we have then is a government system that is supported by companies while they support the companies and the people are discarded through their contract with the government. And so what we have then is negligence from the government as companies become more important than the actual people. But we've got to take a deeper look into the facts of it. You couldn't have any of it without the people, because the people are the ones that keep these corporations, these companies going in process. And so if you're going to hold companies over people, and what you will see is what we have seen in the past is these companies have polluted the food. They've polluted the mind. So they're not only polluting the body, the mind is getting polluted through media. And it's getting supported by the government in processing. So what you will get is the people will get sick. And that will be mental or physical. And they will go to government facilities like doctors, hospitals, psychiatrists, different things like that. And they will guide them to some kind of cooperation or medicine from a cooperation, like pharmaceutical drugs. Not saying everyone or everything, but the majority. And so what you're seeing is a cycle. The corporations is creating a slow death. And then the government is guiding you to other corporations that's seen as supporting that health while creating sickness elsewhere in the body. As what you can find out with pharmaceutical drugs is that the drugs aren't fully tested, that you are the test subject. Now, I've seen this in my own experience of dealing with pharmaceutical drugs as I grew up and dealt with different situations in life and used the system in the thought and belief that they were supporting me through pharmaceutical drugs. But the more I looked into what I was doing and how it was affecting my life, I seen that these drugs weren't supporting me in how I was at all. They were supporting a documentation that was recorded through my doctors in what medication did and how it affected me, and did it support me or did it not, and how they would use that medication through the statistics of everybody, as I seen with my doctor in prescribing me medication for one thing while explaining to me it was used for other things. While I asked, how was this come about, as it was a medication for what I was looking for at this time, it was seen that through what the doctor had explained to me, that the process was that we are the experiment. And so we're the guinea pigs that is used by these corporations, one way or the other. And as the government uses these other facilities to put us in the loop, we get fucked over as the people. And so the government does not support the people. It supports corporations. Does that mean that we don't need the government? No, it doesn't. If we took away the government, then we would have no control. People would be out of control. I'm not saying that they wouldn't become to have control eventually, but what you would get is everyone would go out of control because everybody can't control who they are because of the manipulation that has already been put in place. So you need government to contain that. And that's why you have places like jails, court systems. Now just think if everybody was mentally stable, physically stable, take away the corporations, the influence, living off healthy food, healthy way of thinking by conversations with each other, interacting with each other, not documentation that you will see on devices where you're looking up for something and the next minute you've went through 10 or 20 different things that you weren't looking for. So your mind's getting influenced with multiple things, so it becomes distorted. And so you get a chemical imbalance, just like you would taking drugs. Now, I'm a person that has taken drugs in the past. And I've got judged for it by many people, many things. And not much did I care about what people thought. I was very open about what I did, how I did it, where, what, when, how. Didn't matter to me. What mattered about was me and my experience of everything. And so in that, what I got to see is what people would class as drugs is not what you would normally believe that is drugs. I'm not saying it's not drugs. What I'm saying is anything can be a drug. Anything that can become an addiction that will influence or put you out of balance in who you are. And so what you would find by a device is if you think of something to look up. So you're thinking of neuroscience, for example. I'm just going off something I would think. Maybe it's something different with you, football, motor car racing, whatever it would be. And you think that up and you want to look it up. And so you go online and you do a Google and you start reading about it. And the next minute there's an ad popped up about something, or you've got a notification about something else, or something else, and somewhere is popped into your head from looking at something before. And so it arrives, now you're using that apparatus of the last time that you used it. Everything that you've seen before by using it is popping up in your head. So you start searching for all these other things. Before you know it, you're not even looking for what you went on to the device to look for. That's a drug. Because it's knocked you out of balance in who you are. And because that's a drug, you're now out of control in who you are. Yet you probably believe that you're consciously aware of what you're doing and you've picked them choices in that moment of time. And as much as you did pick them in that moment in time, you are influenced by past thoughts of using that apparatus, by the influence of corporations that has influenced you through the media of these devices. And just like that, we get it with food. In food, we have a lot of processed. And what we say here is organic. Is it? What do we know? What do we actually know? The only time that we really know is when we're gardening and making it ourselves. And how many people do that today? I speak of it and I don't even do it. I would prefer it and I don't even do it. Why? Because it's so much easier to go to the shop and get it, or to get it delivered to you, even better again. And that's how much control they have over us. Now, what do we do that supports that to happen to us? Is we support the government system that keeps that circulating, because it puts it into procedures influences us from one place that we're sitting at that is getting influenced by corporations. And so then we go to deal with our mentality or our physical health. And then we're sent back to another corporation that is influencing it in another way. And so we're getting all distorted. And because we're getting distorted, we're getting sick. We're getting unwell mentally and physically. And so the government is not supporting the people. Yet the people is keeping these corporations going. And we're supporting also the processor, the government, to keep this cycle going. And so how we do that is we vote for different government parties. We're giving them power by voting. Now, if everybody didn't vote, you wouldn't have them. You wouldn't have them stand for the place of the people. And I guess in a way I'm saying you don't need to vote anymore. If you have any common sense. And so a teacher said this to me one time, you've no right. If you're not voting, you've no right. Well, I have every fucking right. I'm not the one putting some dickhead in place to speak for me. I can speak for myself. You who votes for these people in higher position, you've no fucking right because you're the idiot that puts another idiot on top to speak for you. Shows that you're incapable to speak for yourself. And then you run around the streets and you do things wrong or you mentally are fucked up because of everything that's going on. And so you're looked at as a dead entity. And so you become a person, and a person is someone, an entity that is dead. Your physical consciousness is dead because of your actions that you play out. By being in control or by being controlled by the government because you need that. Like they're your parent. Because you're incapable to look after yourself by how you act. And some people are not going to get this. Some people are still going to go and act in a way where they need to be controlled by the government. And so the government will always have that power. Because you will go and you will vote for them to speak for you and to have that power over you because you're incapable of doing it yourself. And so we give them the power. And so the cycle will keep going on and on and on, and the companies having power over you. Well, you're working for these companies that makes you look stupid. I'm not saying people are stupid, but it makes us look stupid because we're the ones that are keeping it going. And the only way that we can change that is change government, change the cycle. Instead of government supporting corporations, we must go back to the way where they support the people, which is why the government was created in the first place, to support the people. Now, if people aren't supporting the government by voting, then they need a new contract with the people. They need to change the contract where the people comes before corporations. And when a cooperation is out of place with the people, someone's held for that. As in contract law, what you see is corporations are held for something and not one person owns the company. There's multiple people, so you can't put them all in jail for what they do wrong. And so the company as a collectiveness of owners pays out a certain amount to keep that person happy. While it's coming back in the cycle anyway, because everybody that works for them is going to keep that going as they just sit at the top and the money returns back to them in what they paid out in the first place. And the people themselves are paying them. And so nobody has ever learned anything but lack. That's all we learn, lack. Lack of control, lack of money, lack of wealth, lack of everything. While there's not, it's just a cycle that we're in, that we've been put in and had influenced by the government, by us, the people, showing the government we're incapable to look after ourselves, so they have to parent us. And we show that by supporting corporations. And we all support corporations. There's probably not one thing that you have in your house that wasn't made by a corporation. Maybe there's a couple of things. Did you made something yourself, or a friend made it, or something like that? Or you did some kind of exchange with someone that you know. But generally it's corporations that makes these things, and us as the people are doing the work while the corporations are getting the benefits. And if there's any discussion or dispute with a corporation and a person in the line, in the cycle, well, the power is going to be with the corporation, not the person. The person's going to be dead, seen as dead in the government, because you've give up your rights. And you vote for it as well to support that. And then your character, when it's out of order, you're supporting it again, which is why we have a government that has places that we call jail, that hold you in a cell, which you are a cell of cells, a cooperation within yourself of cells that you hold within you. And so it's a representation of you holding cells within you that's out of order. So when you're out of balance, you're sick and you're held to a standstill until you get better, till you can move again. And so they do this in the cooperation in government and create jails. Until you learn to have manners, you're kept in that cell because you're sick. You're mentally unstable because you've given up your conscious awareness of who you are, and you're seen as a person and nothing more. And a person is a dead entity, which you are seen as you give up your conscious awareness of all, which is what you truly are, but you don't live by it. You live by a person who goes and votes for somebody to speak for them because they're incapable of speaking for themselves. And then you carry out the actions to show that you're incapable to look after yourself, and you're incapable to stand and be loyal and kind and loving and caring for another by your actions, by the way that you carry out life. And so if we want to change the law to support the people, we must act in a way that supports the people by supporting one another. Before we support any corporations or any companies or any government, we must support one another. And if you don't, then you're just supporting the cycle to go on and you to be fucked over and over and over, and your family, the next generation, the next generation, the next generation, to keep on getting fucked over until you stand up for who you are and the people around you, to support one another. But instead we support government that supports corporations, and in the cycle they support each other, which does not benefit the people. It can only benefit the people when the government is supporting the people over the corporations, which means then we have contract law taken away, minus contract law, and we bring in common law as the guiding law, the main law. And by law, common law is the main law. We are just not supporting it. We're supporting a contract law. And so the government must go back to common law as the main law over all laws. If not, and you keep voting, and then you come back and you're crying about the world and the way it is, well, if you were voting, you support that. If you're buying something in your home that's from a corporation, you're supporting that. You're supporting it. The people. We. I. You. Until we start supporting each other, then they're always going to win. This generation, the next generation, and the next generation, and so on, until we learn to support and love one another and care for one another. And when you see a friend or a loved one, or not even a loved one, just somebody in need, that you go to help them. You don't just fucking walk on like they weren't there. because that's just pure ignorance. And that's why you've got the government the way that they are. Because you, me, we as people, we do this. We ignore what's going on because we don't want to be a part of it. We don't want that hassle. We have enough hassle. You have the hassle because you support the hassle by supporting corporations and the cycle of government and corporations together that holds over you. By not supporting these people that you see in need, because you see it in a way that it's going to be something that is a weight on your shoulders. While you're carrying the weight already, what you would find is if you go and help these people, some of that weight would be lifted off your shoulders because you won't be so arrogant and selfish and ignorant to who that person is, no matter if you know them or not. They're you in another form of consciousness. And so you must share that love and protection and care for another that is in need. And until we start doing that, what can you look for? What do you look for? The same old cycle? The same results? And if that's what you look for, that's what you will get. And as it starts with the people, as I've described it around us, it must start with you and how you see life and how you treat you. To stand up and speak for you. To not have people that represent you but doesn't represent you when it comes to a government. And so what you have is the people arguing and discussing all the time about the government's doing this, they're doing that. It's not going with the people. But did you vote them in there? You've got to look at your part that you play and learn that it's not the blame of the government. It's not the blame of the corporations. It's the people themselves and how we act and how we let the system control who we are. There's always going to be a system no matter what way you look at it. But you must take control of who you are and roll with the system. Not letting the system be the power of you, which is what has happened in communication skills. We've lacked them in person, in people, from living man to woman, whatever. It's through mechanics of electronics of different devices that we use to, well, as you say, communicate. And so it lacks that sense to feel. And so we become numb to what's going on. And then when we see somebody in need, instead of going and helping them, we walk on by them in the thought that somebody else will help them. And that somebody else will probably walk on by thinking that someone else will help them, just the same as you do. Before you know it, with another person lost in consciousness. Not only are they lost from consciousness, lost of physical life as a person, as you would see yourself to be in a legal system. And so that life's gone, it's disappeared. And until we start reflecting on it, then nothing can change until you start changing you. Anyway, that's just my view on a legal system. We need a legal system. We may not be happy with a legal system. We need the corporations. We may not be happy with them, and we need the people to keep it all going. But we must get it in the right order where the government is supporting the people and not the corporations. And that is what has been happening. They're supporting corporations over the people. And so there's a imbalance instead of a balance of life. And we must bring it back to where they're supporting the people against the organizations, the companies, to bring some balance to life. Obviously, there's going to be that cycle still going on, but it's up to you as a person to take control of who you are. in your choices. And when things don't go right, to act in the right character, to not be going flipping, because that will just show the reason why government needs these facilities like jails, police officers, and so on. I think it's explanatory enough just to understand in your actions and how they can draw that type of energy, to understand yourself first as you are a cooperation of cells and how you hold them cells together. And when they're out of order, you feel that in a sickness, whether it be mentally or physically. And just like that, it's seen in the world, so it needs looked after in some form or another, whether it be hospital, because of a sickness that you're incapable to maintain your own health, or if it's because of the actions that you've taken towards others or your surroundings that would affect others, that you would need a police officer or jail cells to cooperate you into a cooperation of cells until you're well enough to get back out of that cell. And so if we understand ourselves, we should understand the world around us. But by the way we act as a wholeness, we clearly don't. And we let that cycle be the control of us rather than us controlling the cycle in how we choose life. And it's funny, it just made me think of a film, Trainspotting, about drugs. As life is a drug, one big drug. And one of the sayings is, choose life. Don't let life choose you. And that's what we do. What all's happening around us, it guides us into being who we are. And yet we've always got that choice to be that person that's deep within us and to speak out in our own truth instead of going with the crowd. So be you. And you'll be more happier and healthier in who you are. And you won't feel that you're carrying so much of a weight on your shoulders. And if you see somebody in need and you can help them, then you help them. You don't think about someone else could help them. You help them. You shouldn't even have to think about it. It should be an instinct thing where you just go to help. You don't think about it. You just know deep within your heart because you're thinking with your heart, not what's going on in here from all around here of what you've seen before, but from what you know and who you are, from how you feel in here. And so you learn to support one another, especially when you see somebody in need. As I say, this is just my view. Hopefully it finds somewhere within you that can help you finding who you are if you're looking in some form or another, or understanding of who you are and how the world takes effect on you and how you can take effect onto the world. This Happy Chappy, love and peace.